Hi guys! Wow, so today is December 13th. It has officially been 4 weeks since my surgery, and so much has been happening since then. So I'm really excited to tell you a little bit about what's been going on, where my pain level's at, and how, thanks to you all, we're continuing to be able to promote Pectus excavatum awareness. So I am still wearing my brace. Let's start there. You can see it. It's my big brace that they give you to put on after surgery. So I'm still wearing that every day. It makes me feel secure having that tightness around my ribs and my chest bone. Plus it also provides that extra support because it does have that thick foam pad that goes under it. So I'm still wearing that. I am in a little more pain, but it's different pain than it was previously. So it's still pain on my sides, but it's a sore pain. So like if I were to stretch my arm over my head, it almost feels like I'm in that, like I said, workout mode, soreness pain before. So I'm still having that little pain if I do a certain move or move a certain way. Outside of that, I'm not really in a lot of pain. It's more so just trying to now start healing my wounds, making sure that I'm taking care of my scars. I did find silicone scar cream. So after surgery, they gave me silicone strips, but I found it hard for me to use those and just keep them on. They would keep falling off. So I bought silicone gel cream to help with my scarring. And I will send you, or I will show you all a picture eventually once my scars heal of my before and after scars, and hopefully that cream will help and work. But to tell you a little bit more about what's going on right now, so 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, I got to do a radio conversation with one of my local radio stations, like I told you all previously, which was awesome. And then the next day, I was actually on the front page of my hometown daily journal. And it was a whole story about myself and Pectus and what was going on. It told my story from beginning to end, and it explained it really well, which is kind of what I want to discuss a little bit more today. Because yesterday, the Fox 2 News came down to Farmington and actually did a story on me as well. Unfortunately, as you guys know, they don't really get a lot of time to tell a story on the news. It's usually just a small summary to highlight the true story. So although we did around a 50-minute interview, you only got to see around 2 minutes of the story. I am so thankful for Fox 2 News in St. Louis for coming down and meeting with me to help spread awareness about Pectus excavatum, because like I said, 1 in 400 people have Pectus, and unfortunately a lot of people don't even know they have it because medical professionals typically don't know enough about it to diagnose the patient. The patient just knows that their chest sinks in. They don't realize the symptoms it can cause them. There's so much that patients don't realize that have Pectus excavatum. So with my story, I actually started in Colorado. I was on a hiking trip with my boyfriend, and my full story is in a previous video. If you go back, I think it's on video number 2. It highlights it more, but I had serious issues. I had serious symptoms. My heart was pounding really fast. I couldn't breathe. My whole body was shaking. And at that time, the ER diagnosed me with anxiety. They told me I was just having a panic attack, and basically that I would go home and be fine the next few days. I wasn't fine. I ended up back in the ER again, and the ER said, well, maybe you should go see a cardiologist. I went and saw a cardiologist, and he put me on a 30-day Holter monitor. It revealed nothing. I then went back to the ER because I continued to have severe chest pain. My chest hurt so bad. It felt like someone was inside of me punching to get out. And it felt like my heart was squeezing itself so tight. The muscle was just locked tight. My heart rate was beating really fast. It would range anywhere from 130 to 205 beats per minute at a fast rate. And my oxygen was dropping. I couldn't maintain my oxygen. Normal oxygen is 95 to 100%. Mine was in the 80s. So I went back to the ER. I stayed at a hospital in St. Louis for a week After running every test under the sun, they still couldn't diagnose me. They sent me home with an oxygen tank, and they told me that I would be okay. And that was my new way of life. That a lot of people live off of oxygen, and I'd be okay. As a 26-year-old female at the time who was just running 5 miles 3 months ago, that was hard for me to wrap my brain around. I wasn't done yet. I wasn't going to settle for that. My grandma was actually the one who demanded to get my Howler Index while we were at the hospital. And although we got the Howler Index, that hospital still discharged me without even researching or looking up what the Howler Index is. You see, my grandmother, I call her Maga, she's a nurse. She's phenomenal. She's highly intelligent. She was the one that told them to get the Howler Index. Once I got discharged that night, me, my mom, and my Maga all went home and we did our own research. A normal Howler Index is a 2.0. Surgery is recommended at a 3.2. My Howler Index was a 4.95, and the hospital knew that, and they still sent me home. So the Howler Index basically tells you how close your sternum is to your spine, how close it is. Mine was a 4.95. So we knew that Pectus was severe, that my case had, from a moderate case, turned into a very severe case. Yet I was still sent home and told, anxiety, there was no other answers for me. That night, we spent 4 hours doing research. The next night, we spent hours and hours again doing research. We found a case study just like me who had the same exact symptoms, who had Pectus excavatum, and that's where the symptoms were coming from. We then went to see cardiologists again because I kept getting worse. My episodes were happening 2 or 3 times a day, and they were only getting worse. The cardiologist said, "You're in terrible condition. We have to get you admitted to Barnes Jewish Hospital." I spent 9 days at Barnes. We told them, I think it's my Pectus excavatum. They said, okay, but we want to make sure there's nothing else going on, which I'm so appreciative of that because I like that they took the time and due diligence to check everything else as well. But it indeed turned out to be Pectus excavatum that was causing all of my symptoms. See, Barnes Jewish Hospital is one of the top 10 hospitals in the country. Yet they had never done a standing echocardiogram, which is how I was diagnosed with Pectus being my reason for the symptoms. Typically, echocardiograms are done lying down. But see, I wasn't symptomatic lying down. I was only symptomatic when I stood up or sat up or walked. So they did the echocardiogram lying down. It looked like a normal person. When I stood up, everything changed. My heart rate went from about 60 beats per minute, and when I stood up, in a matter of 5 seconds, it would jump to 130 beats per minute. My right ventricle would get completely pinched off, and they could see when I stood up, only when I stood up, I had a PFO, known as a hole in my heart, that would open, and the deoxygenated blood was flowing the wrong way. So my heart was having to work much faster, and my oxygen was dropping. It made sense. The pectus, my chest bone, was putting pressure on my heart and lungs. It was compressing my heart and lungs. But it was only when I was standing up. When I was lying down, it was relaxed. So again, everything with me in my case was very positional. So then that's when Barnes said, okay, it is your pectus. We were all on board. But unfortunately, and this has been a big question, Barnes being one of the top 10 hospitals in the country, people wanted to know, why couldn't they do your surgery? Well, the director of Pectus at Barnes does a different form of surgery to correct the pectus, the chest deformity. But it is a very out-of-date, less successful surgery, way more invasive. And like I said, I had done my research. I knew I didn't want that surgery. That surgery is called the Ravage procedure. They cut your chest open from right here all the way down. They open up your chest. They take the muscles off of your chest. They break your breastbone, pull it up, rewire it, and then cut out a portion of your ribs, of your cartilage. I wanted the Nuss procedure. The Nuss procedure is way less invasive and highly successful. A lot of people that have the Nuss procedure are up and walking days after their procedure, just like I was. So I got the Nuss procedure done. They drilled 4 small holes in my sternum. They put a crane in. They lifted my sternum off of my heart and lungs. and then they put 2 stainless steel bars in to hold my new shape in place. My chest was corrected immediately after surgery because the stainless steel bars were holding my new shape in place. There was no longer a bowl in my chest or a sunken in chest. Some people call it funnel chest. There's a lot of nicknames for it. But I was fixed, if you will, immediately. My symptoms stopped right after surgery. My heart rate became normal. My oxygen maintained. It was 96 to 100%, I think, 2 days after surgery when we were walking in the hallways. And before, when I was walking, it was dropping into the 70s and 80s. My heart rate, it was so cool. Walking with my dad, I remember my heart rate was under 100 beats per minute. And my oxygen, he looked at me and he said, "Danny, your oxygen is 100%. It was an amazing day. And I can't say enough about Dr. Dawn Jarzewski at the Mayo Clinic. She is the top surgeon in the world for the NUS procedure for corrective surgery in adults with Pectus excavatum. Dr. Jarzewski, I call her Dr. J for short, is truly a superwoman. I mean, she is amazing, from the person she is to her background, her intelligence, her care. She truly cares about you as a patient. And she is highly, highly recommended because she does this all the time and she has a lot of success at what she does. She does around, I think, 300 cases a year, where this surgeon at Barnes does, he told me, about maybe 1 a month. So it's important to know and research your surgeons, this type of surgery, what other options are out there for you. My biggest goal in sharing my story, well, I have 2 goals actually. One is for Pectus specifically. If you have questions, if you need support, if you are having a hard time, if you wonder, where do I go from here? Is it ever going to get better? Whether it's a mental issue because of your chest deformity and you're a little self-conscious about it, or if it's a physical issue you're having. If you're really symptomatic and you have questions of, did you have this happen to you, Danielle? You're welcome to reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. And 2, my biggest goal is I want people to realize you have to be your own advocate for your health. If your doctors don't know and they just guess, but you know your body better than anyone and you know something's wrong, do your research. Get a 2nd, 3rd, 4th opinion. Do whatever you have to make sure you're doing what's best for you and your body. So those are my 2 biggest goals, guys. I can't thank you enough for the continued support. I'm here for any questions you have. It may take me a while to get back, but I promise to try my best to get back to all of you. All right. Well, like I said, just to give you an update on me now, I am not having too much pain anymore. I've been walking. I started driving this week, so weaning myself off of all of my pain medicine. And my goal is to start to go back to work next week. I'm going to try half days and see how it goes from there. But I could not be more thankful for my journey. I truly, 3 months ago, didn't know where I'd be at this time. I didn't know if I'd be here for Christmas because I couldn't walk and breathe at the same time. And life was just scary. It just came on so fast and no one seemed to be able to help me, so I could not be more thankful for the fact that I can walk and breathe, that I can go back to work next week, that I can go back and live in my apartment and be with my boyfriend and my friends in St. Louis, my family. I feel very blessed, and I know 2019 is going to be my year, and I know for some of you it's going to be your year as well. Hang in there. I'm here for you. I'm praying for you. Reach out to me if you need anything.